be more than human.
Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today, as the video title suggests, I'm doing my top 10 favorite video games of all time. Me and Alan from the Library of Alexandria just had a discussion. I'll try to throw it up there. And we were talking about video games in general and how I haven't got to play a lot of video games in the last few years. But I've been thinking about doing this for a while, so I was like, what better time now? So we're going to throw it up. There is some kind of rules to this. It has to be a game that is heavily into a story. Um, you know, you won't see Madden, which I still play. So no sports games really, no straight up fighting games unless there is a heavier story along the lines. And I will pick a series. It will be put up there, but then I will also kind of pick my favorite inside of the series. So we're gonna start off here with two honorable mentions. Honorable mention number one is GTA 5. I've played all the Grand Theft Autos all the way back to where the original one, where it looked like it was super pixelated. And they've always been fun. Um, I didn't think that you could top Vice City. I just loved Vice City, loved Vice City's story line. But GTA 5 just took it to a whole nother level. You had multiple storylines, and they were all great. The gameplay was amazing. I actually didn't really get into the online play, at all because that's just the way I am. I mean, I play Halo, Call of Duty, stuff, but I'm really more about the campaign when it comes to video games. So, GTA 5, amazing. And then my second honorable mention is Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones. Um, that game was amazing. I love any story that's like, there's a being that's on the inside of you, or Jekyll and Hyde, anything like that. Loved it. Loved the gameplay, the reverse time flow, and then the weapon that you had when you were your alternate self, like that kind of whip that had like the chains and daggers and stuff on it. Oh, freaking sweet. And the way they kind of did it with like your arm turn, had the tattoos on it or whatnot. Beautiful. And especially for the time, it was a beautiful game. Okay, so there is the honorable mentions. Let's get into the top 10. Coming in at number 10 is a game that flopped. I think at the time it was the most expensive game ever made, and it was supposed to be like a Microsoft's coming out. Like it was all done within Microsoft itself, I believe. And it's Too Human. This game, I heard there was just so much. When I look back on it, after I played the game, I just freaking love the story. It's a Norse kind of a retelling of Norse story. You play as Boulder, and he is the Norse are cybernetically enhanced, and you're fighting this Loki army of machines, and Boulder is not as cybernetically enhanced as everyone else, and that's why they call him Too Human. And you throughout the game, you can choose to go more cybernetic, and you get more kind of futuristic cybernetic weapons, or you can go the Too Human path, and you get more magical powers. And it was one of the first games to really, it was like 2008, really pushed the using of all the controls when you're battling. So if you had two swords, you could independently move them with the thumbsticks. Um, you know, this game got a really bad rap, but the story was amazing. I love the gameplay. Just fantastic game, fantastic game. And then coming at number 9 is Dying Light. Now I haven't played the sequel yet, but the first game, I mean, I felt like that was probably the most well done zombie game ever. The dialogue was great. They kind of they kind of threw in the Mirror's Edge running machine type parkour thing, which I love. Me and my wife, we still play this game of when we see a building that has fences around it, we're like safe zone, first person, it's because we're nerds. My wife never played the game, but she was so enthralled. She watched me play the entire game, and it wasn't like, sometimes your girlfriend or your wife will just sit there and like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But she was invested like a movie. So I will eventually get around to playing Dying Light 2, but that is number 9. Number 8 is Mortal Kombat. Uh, and initially, Mortal Kombat started out at, no real story. I mean, they had some written stories and stuff, but eventually it got more and more heavily into the story. Of course, you had the movies, TV shows, and all that. But as far as the one game that sticks with me, now this one didn't have a ton of story, but it was Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the original PlayStation. And we all know why. Because of the code for the one button fatality. Um, you load that up, and then you could just do everybody's fatalities, and you didn't have to worry about knowing all the down, down, up, X square, all that jazz. Um, it's fun to. It's more. It was more like, oh, I'm able to do them when you had to do all the codes. But if you're just having fun with your friends, one button fatality was the way to go. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Um, and then, so we go to our next one, which is number 7, Super Mario. Now, people will be like, well, what Mario? In the series, there's been a million of them, right? And I had to think about this one for a second because I was thinking about Super Mario 3 for the original Nintendo. But I'm going to go with Mario 64. And this game was the first game where you could put a lot of gameplay time in, and it wasn't necessarily you're putting in all this gameplay because it's so hard. Nintendo hard, right? There were games that really, if you got good at it, you could beat them in just, an hour or two. But this game, there was just so much to do. It was so smooth compared to every other game. The graphics were great compared to every other game of the time. The story was good. Your typical Mario story, but this is a game where like our friends would just pass the game back and forth. Just see who could do certain sections better. Just a great nostalgia game. I would love. I don't know if they have, but I would love to have them remaster that. And maybe that could convince me to get a Nintendo. But number 6 is Fallout. And my favorite of the Fallout games is Fallout New Vegas. That game, all the Fallout games kind of have the same structure, the same way you play. But I thought that the world was really gritty, and I loved like different sections, different factions. Um, and I love at the end, I'm a big moment person. Like if you'll see through these games, but I'm a big moment person. And at the end, uh you know no spoilers for a freaking 15-year-old game or whatever, but just amazing. um and then number 5 is Skyrim. Now, I've played Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and you know, a lot of a lot of people will say Morrowind was the best, um, but uh, I loved Skyrim. Not so much Oblivion, although I did like several of the side quests for Oblivion, but Skyrim just had it all. Like everything, it was dialed in. All the side, all the guilds were great. The main story was way better than Oblivion, and really the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild, chef's kiss, right? Just one of those games where you're just like, for its time, it really couldn't have been much better. Um, and then we get into number four, and a lot of people who know me would think that this game is going to be would be higher. All right, it's number four, but people would expect that it would be even higher. But The Witcher 3 was just an amazing game. My wife bought me the game, and then my best friend's like, "Nah, man, you got to read the books before you play the game." And I was like, "All right." So I finished all like 7 books, and then I came into the game, and I think it made the game so much better because it's kind of a continuation, right? And I put 200 hours into this game. The DLCs, the story on the DLCs was just as good as anything that happened during the game. And they were worth it like $15, $20. And you got 20 extra hours of gameplay, like per 15, and then another one had like 20. Um, that is what modern video games should be. I mean, that's a perfect modern video game. And I haven't played Cyberpunk yet. I've heard some people say great things. I've heard some people say trash about it. But maybe it'll come back to the glory when we get to the next Witcher game. All right, so now we're into the top three. And really, I had a hard time picking the top three. I kept circling. I mean, each one of these three at one point was number one on my on my list, and I couldn't. I really, it was hard to decide. But number three, Mass Effect, and Mass Effect 2, in general, was probably the best. Um, I mean, if you've played this game, you know a lot of people were mad about the endings, with the ending of 3, but I didn't hate it as much as everybody else because I'm an author, writer myself, and I just kind of, was like, all right, well, that's what they wanted. Okay. They did kind of leave a little bit of an opening here. It does look like we're probably coming back to Shepard. So, we'll see. We'll see about that. But just the cross, saves thing was, I mean, I don't know how many times I've quoted the Reapers and Commander Shepard, and I mean, I think I even at one time I made a trailer for the like Mass Effect 4. Um, just loved the interaction, loved all just the world, just so many side deviating things. It was just an amazing series. Now, number two, and a lot of people probably who really know me would have thought this was going to be number one, probably. But number two is BioShock. And in particular, the original BioShock. I actually think all 3 games were great. I know some people think that Infinite is the best in the series. Maybe gameplay wise, that's true. But the original BioShock, to me, had the best writing in all of video game history. And would you kindly, right? Um, but for its time, the world was so beautiful. Rapture, the city of Rapture, the story, the dialogue. I mean, to me, it was a perfect game in its time. You couldn't have made a game better than BioShock in its time. And with possible, Netflix making a BioShock movie, I am looking forward to seeing how that goes. Hopefully they do it justice. And then the number one video game of all time is Halo. I did play. I was a multiplayer guy for a while, and I played a lot of Halo. Um, and I kind of maxed out my Halo-ness at Halo 3. And these stories of Halo are you know, when I think about Master Chief, it just hits me in the feels, right? Anybody who was there from the beginning. I mean, I was one of the very first people to get Halo, the original Halo. And I was always late to the party on all these video games on all the consoles. I really never had money, but got lucky, got an Xbox early on, and got Halo early on. And me and my best friend played it, handed controllers back and forth while we were going through the campaign. And I had the controller the first time that you seen the flood, so it was like just this red blob coming down on over the radar, and you're just like, we're both saying, what is coming at us? And it's just beautiful campaigns. I'm actually just finally downloaded, the new Halo, and I've been holding off because I was waiting to get the new system. So I've had the new system for a little while, but been super busy, and can't wait to play it. Let me know if you've made it this far. Subscribe. Like, I'm gonna be putting up more stuff like this. I do a lot of book stuff, but I also do a lot of media, and I want to do more stuff like this. If you guys like it, you'll see more of it. So hit me in the comments. What are your top video games of all time? Do you agree with my list? Do you not? Are some of these games, do you hate some of these games? Let me know about that too. And I will see you in the next one.